Liam and I have fallen in love, my wife wrote in a letter. My commanding officer handed me mid-deployment. We've taken the money to start fresh. I folded the paper, handed it back, and returned to work. What they didn't know was that they violated the power of attorney, and I had documented everything. My name is Matthew Donovan. I'm 34 years old. I've served as an Army Ranger for 12 years now, currently on my 4th combat deployment. Not much to tell about the early days, you know. Grew up in a small town outside Pittsburgh. Dad worked the steel mill until it closed. Mom taught 2nd grade. Pretty ordinary life. 2 people were always there for me since forever. Emma, my wife of 8 years, and Liam, my best friend since 3rd grade. Met him when I was 9, sitting at the same lunch table. He couldn't open his milk carton. I helped him. Simple as that. 25 years of friendship followed. Emma came later, met her at college before I enlisted. She knew what she was signing up for when she married a soldier, or said she did anyway. I can handle the deployments, she told me. Just come home safe. And I believed her. Every time. Liam was the best man at our wedding. Godfather to our daughter, Lily. 6 years old now. Looks just like her mother. When I got the orders for this deployment, 9 months, possibly 12, Emma hugged me tight. I'll take care of everything while you're gone, she promised. And Liam, he put his hand on my shoulder, looked me right in the eyes. I'll check on them every week, he said. Your girls are in good hands. I believed that too. 3 months into deployment, communication was spotty, satellite calls once a week when things were good, emails when the servers were working. Emma's messages started getting shorter. Just busy with work and Lily, she'd say. Liam's check-in texts stopped completely around the same time. Should have seen it then, I guess. The signs were there. Then came the letter. Not an email, not a call, an actual paper letter, delivered by my commanding officer. He pulled me aside, away from the rest of the unit, handed me the envelope without a word. I knew before I opened it, something in his eyes. Matt, there's no easy way to say this. It began in Emma's handwriting. Or Liam and I have fallen in love. We didn't plan it, but with you gone so much, they'd decided to start fresh together. They'd transferred our savings to establish their new life. All of it. 12 years of combat pay, re-enlistment bonuses, even the inheritance from my father. $387,000 in total. Money I'd saved for Lily's college fund, for the house we were going to build when I finished this tour. All gone. The letter ended with, I'm sorry. Lily will understand someday. Understand what? That her mother stole her future. That her godfather betrayed the man who'd been his friend for more than 2 decades. What exactly would she understand? I didn't yell when I read the letter. Didn't cry. Didn't put my fist through the wall like some of the guys do when they get Dear John letters. Just folded it up. Put it back in the envelope. Thanked the CO. Went back to equipment check. During my next satellite call, which was supposed to be with Emma and Lily, no one answered. The house phone was disconnected. Emma's cell went straight to voicemail. I called my sister in Ohio. She hadn't heard from Emma in weeks, thought they were visiting my parents. I tried messaging Liam, no response. Called his parents. They sounded strange, uncomfortable, said they hadn't spoken to him recently. Later found out they were lying. They knew everything. I checked our joint account through the military banking portal. Balance $842.16. The savings account, $0. The investment account for Lily's education, $0. When I spoke to the bank representative, she was sympathetic but unhelpful. Your wife had authorized access, sir. I'm sorry, but the transfers appear to be legitimate. I asked for the transfer details. 3 separate transactions over 2 weeks. All authorized with Emma's credentials and security questions. All perfectly legal, apparently. One evening, Staff Sergeant Miller noticed something was off during equipment checks. I'd missed 3 items on the inventory list. Not like me. Everything all right, Donovan? He asked. Financial trouble at home, was all I said. Didn't elaborate. Didn't need the whole unit knowing my business. Staff Sergeant Miller nodded once. Talked to Captain Rivera in JAG. She might be able to help. I wasn't expecting much when I went to see Captain Rivera the next day, just following orders, really. When I showed her the letter, she didn't offer sympathy or outrage, just asked practical questions. When were the funds transferred? What type of accounts? Did I have a power of attorney document with my wife? Did we establish any conditions for those accounts before deployment? Actually, yes, I told her. After my first deployment, I'd insisted on specific language in our power of attorney. Emma had signed it before every deployment since, including this one. "Let me see it," Captain Rivera said. When I pulled up the document on my phone, she read it carefully. Then she looked up at me with the first smile I'd seen in weeks. "In Sergeant Donovan, Joe," she said, "I think your wife and your former friend may have made a serious miscalculation." What Emma and Liam didn't understand was that the Service Members Civil Relief Act has special provisions for exactly this situation, and my power of attorney document had specific conditions that Emma had violated, conditions that would be very hard to defend in court. Captain Rivera connected me with the Military Financial Protection Office. I sent them copies of everything, the letter, the power of attorney, bank statements. Then I went back to work. Focused on the mission, kept my team safe in hostile territory. That was my job. The rest would take care of itself. I didn't tell anyone else in the unit what had happened. Didn't need their pity or their rage. Neither would help me now. I needed to remain functional, clear-headed. At night, lying awake in my bunk, I'd run through the logistics. Where would they go? Emma had always talked about Seattle, said she loved the rain, hated the Pennsylvania winters. Liam had a cousin in Tacoma. Maybe they'd go there. Take my daughter to a place where it rains 9 months of the year. I wondered if they'd told Lily yet, what they'd said to her, if she asked about me, if she missed me, if she understood why I wasn't on the video calls anymore. These thoughts didn't make me angry. That's what surprised me most. No rage. No fantasies of confrontation, just a cold, analytical detachment, like I was solving a tactical problem, identifying variables, calculating odds. 2 weeks after my meeting with Captain Rivera, I received a secure email from the Military Financial Protection Office. They'd flagged the transactions as potentially fraudulent under the terms of my power of attorney. The bank had frozen the remaining funds, about $314,000. The rest, $73,000, had already been spent or transferred to accounts they couldn't immediately access. The email explained the next steps. Legal proceedings would begin immediately. They had already filed the paperwork. Emma and Liam would be notified within 48 hours. I didn't respond with gratitude or excitement. Just acknowledged receipt and asked to be updated as the situation developed. That night, for the first time in weeks, I slept soundly. The thing is, I'd been preparing for something like this for years. Not this specifically, not Emma and Liam. Never saw that coming. But I'd been in the military long enough to hear the stories. Deployments are hard on marriages. Money disappears. People change. Or maybe they just finally show who they really are. After my second deployment, I'd insisted on those specific conditions in our power of attorney. Emma had complained about it at the time. "Don't you trust me?" she'd asked. "It's not about trust," I'd told her. "It's about protection, for both of us." She'd signed it anyway. Probably never read the fine print. The condition she violated was simple. Any transfer exceeding $10,000 from our joint accounts required either dual authorization or documentation, showing the funds were being used for approved purposes. Mortgage payments, Lily's education, medical expenses, or other family necessities. Emma had transferred $387,000 without dual authorization and for none of those approved purposes. The letter made her intentions clear: to establish our new life, not for Lily's benefit, not for family necessities, for her and Liam. The bank should have caught it immediately. That was the failure point in my plan, the human element. Someone should have flagged those transfers the moment they happened. Instead, it took the automated system 2 weeks to detect the unusual activity pattern and alert the Military Financial Protection Office. By then, Some of the money was already gone. Spent on what? I could only guess. Down payment on a house, new car, expensive gifts to celebrate their new start. I received another update 3 days after the first. The bank had traced some of the missing $73,000. Approximately $42,000 had been transferred to a personal account in Liam's name at a different bank. They were working on freezing those funds as well. The remaining $31,000 appeared to have been withdrawn in cash or spent via debit card transactions. Those funds would be harder to recover, but the legal team was optimistic about eventually reclaiming at least a portion through the civil proceedings. Emma had been served legal papers at her parents' home in Ohio, not Seattle after all. Liam had been served at an address in the same town, so they hadn't gone far, just far enough to think they were safe. The documents they received outlined the violations of the power of attorney agreement, the freezing of the accounts, and the pending legal actions to recover the misappropriated funds. They were given 10 days to respond. I wondered how they'd taken it, if Emma had cried, if Liam had raged. If they'd blamed each other or united against me, it didn't really matter. The machinery was in motion now. 4 days after being served, Emma called the base, asked to speak with me. I declined the call. Had it routed to Captain Rivera instead. Emma was panicking, Captain Rivera told me afterward, claimed there had been a misunderstanding, said she'd been planning to set up a separate account for Lily's education with the money. Couldn't explain why she'd mentioned establishing a new life in her letter or why Liam had received $42,000 of our money. She wants to work things out, Captain Rivera said. Says she's willing to return the funds if you'll drop the legal proceedings. All of the funds? I asked. She says she can return most of it. Most isn't all, I replied. Captain Rivera nodded. That's what I told her. The next day, I received an email from Liam. First contact in months. The subject line read, "Please read this, Matt." I forwarded it to Captain Rivera without opening it. She read it and summarized it for me. Apologies, explanations, excuses. Liam claimed he'd fallen in love with Emma, but hadn't meant for any of this to happen. Said he'd return his portion of the money immediately. Asked if we could talk, man to man. I told Captain Rivera to respond with the contact information for the legal team handling the case, nothing more. 2 days later, there was a development. The bank confirmed that Liam had returned the $42,000 to a holding account pending resolution of the case. Emma had provided bank records showing where the remaining $31,000 had gone. Much of it had been spent on hotels, restaurants, shopping trips, things that couldn't be easily returned or refunded. The legal team recommended I accept the return of the $356,000 they'd secured so far and pursue the remaining $31,000 through the civil courts if I wanted to. The alternative was a lengthy legal battle that might recover more of the funds, but would certainly drag on for months, possibly years. "What do you want to do, Sergeant?" Captain Rivera asked. "Accept the $356,000, I said. Have it transferred to my personal account, not the joint one. I'll deal with the rest when I get home." "And the divorce proceedings?" she asked. "Start them now," I said. "I want everything in motion before I return." 6 weeks before the end of my deployment, I received a video call request from an unknown number. When I accepted, Lily's face filled the screen. My daughter, 6 years old, gap-toothed smile, hair in uneven pigtails. Emma must have done them. I was always better at getting them straight. "Daddy!" Lily shouted when she saw me. "I miss you." I felt something crack inside me, the first real emotion in months. "I miss you too, sweetheart. So much." "When are you coming home?" she asked. "Soon," I promised. 6 more weeks. "That's forever," she pouted. "It'll go by fast," I said, though I knew it wouldn't, not for either of us. "Mommy wants to talk to you," Lily said, and before I could respond, Emma's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired, thinner than I remembered. The confident woman who'd written that letter was gone. "Matt," she said, "thank you for taking the call." I didn't respond, just waited. "I know you're angry," she continued. You have every right to be. What I did, what we did, it was wrong. I see that now. Still, I said nothing. Liam's gone, she said after a moment. Back to Pittsburgh. It's over between us. Has been for weeks. I nodded once. Unsurprised, I've been talking with a lawyer, she said, about the divorce. I'm not going to fight you on anything. The house, the money, custody of Lily, whatever you want. I want to see my daughter regularly, I said. The first words I'd spoken to her since the letter. Emma nodded quickly. Of course. Shared custody. Whatever arrangement works best for Lily. I'll have my lawyer contact yours when I return, I said. We'll put Lily back on, please. Emma hesitated, then nodded. A moment later, Lily was back on screen, chattering about school and her friends and the tooth she'd lost the week before. I listened, smiling, asking questions, soaking in every detail of her life that I'd missed. When the call ended, I sat alone in the communications room for a long time. Something had shifted, not forgiveness. I wasn't there yet. Maybe never would be. But a recognition that life would continue, different than before, but not necessarily worse. The next day, I received notification that the divorce papers had been filed. Emma had accepted all the proposed terms without contest. The $356,000 had been successfully transferred to my personal account. The remaining $31,000 was classified as a loss, deemed not worth pursuing given the circumstances. 2 weeks later, I received another email from Captain Rivera. Liam had been fired from his job. Apparently, his employer had gotten wind of the situation. Small towns, word travels fast. He'd moved back in with his parents temporarily, looking for work in another state. I felt no satisfaction at this news, no vindication, just a dull acknowledgement that actions have consequences, some more public than others. I returned home on a Tuesday morning in April. My sister picked me up from the airport. Lily was with her, running into my arms the moment she saw me. I held her tight, breathing in the scent of her hair, feeling the solid reality of her small body against mine. This was what mattered. Everything else was just details. Emma wasn't there. We'd arranged through our lawyers that I would have Lily for the first week after my return. Emma had moved out of our house, my house now, under the divorce settlement, and into a small apartment across town. Close enough for easy exchanges of Lily, far enough that we wouldn't run into each other accidentally. The house felt different when I walked in. Emptier. Emma had taken her personal belongings as agreed, but left all the furniture, all of Lily's things. Family photos had been removed from the walls, leaving lighter patches on the paint. I'd need to redecorate eventually. For now, the blank spaces were appropriate. 3 days after my return, Emma texted asking if we could talk in person. I replied that all communication should go through our lawyers until the divorce was finalized. She responded with a single word: understood. Lily adjusted to the new arrangement with the resilience of childhood. She missed having both parents in the same house, but enjoyed having 2 bedrooms, as she put it. She never mentioned Liam. When I carefully asked if she'd seen him recently, she shook her head. Mommy said he had to go away. Are you going away again, Daddy? Not for a long time, I promised her, and I meant it. I'd already started the paperwork for a transfer to a training position. Less pay, but no deployments. Lily needed stability now more than ever. A week after my return, I visited the bank in person, closed our joint accounts, opened new ones solely in my name, set up a trust fund for Lily's education that Emma couldn't access, not out of spite, but out of caution. Trust, once broken, is hard to repair. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. No contests, no complications, just signatures on documents, ending 8 years of marriage with the stroke of a pen, Emma cried at the courthouse. I didn't, had done my crying in private, weeks before. Liam reached out once more, sending a letter to the house. 8 pages of apology and explanation. I read the first paragraph, then put it through the shredder. Some bridges can't be rebuilt. Don't need to be. That was 2 years ago now. I'm still in the army, but as a training instructor instead of a field operator, home every night for dinner with Lily. She's 8 now, learning to play soccer. I coach her team on weekends. Emma and I have a functional co-parenting relationship. All business, no emotion. She's seeing someone new, an accountant, seems stable, good with Lily. I'm glad for that much. I bought a smaller house closer to the base. 3 bedrooms instead of 4, a yard for Lily to play in. Started dating again recently. Nothing serious yet. Not sure I'm ready for serious, maybe someday. The money sits in investment accounts, growing slowly. Lily's education is secure. My retirement too, eventually. Some days I think about what I would have done differently. If I had seen the signs earlier, if I had been home more, if I had been a different kind of husband, a different kind of friend. But those thoughts don't lead anywhere useful. You can't change the past, can only move forward, one day at a time. Liam moved to Colorado according to mutual friends. Started over. I wish I could say I forgive him. Would probably be the healthy thing to do. But the truth is simpler. I don't think about him much anymore. Don't think about any of it unless something specific brings it up. Like now, telling this story. First time I've told it all the way through. Probably the last. People ask sometimes if I'm bitter. If I hate Emma and Liam for what they did, the honest answer is no. Hate requires energy I'd rather spend elsewhere. On Lily. On my work. On building something new. Trust isn't broken by a single act of betrayal. It dies in the silence of realizing you already knew the truth, long before you were ready to admit it.